Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. Today we are going over this guy right here. This is from DNT Optics. They call it The One. And this is a 7-35 long range scope. So let's get into it. All right, so for full transparency, DNT did send this out to the channel for review. They did not give me any ammo and they did not pay me for the review. They did, however, give me the scope for free. Do with that information what you will. It doesn't affect my review or how I bring you this information. I would like to quickly shout out Copper Jacket Arms, which is my company. Copper Jacket Arms is hopefully your one-stop shop for all your pew needs, from ammo to accessories, suppressor accessories, firearms, and all of that good stuff. So check out Copper Jacket Arms. Link will be in the pinned comment. So this scope has a lot of cool features about it. I've enjoyed using it. I'm not really much of a really long range shooter, but I think this is one that, in my opinion and limited experience in very long range shooting, this is one that I think really does the task for an affordable price. So some quick specs about it really quick. Again, it's 7-35 by 56 millimeter. It's got a 34 millimeter tube. It has resettable windage and elevation turrets with a zero stop in the elevation turret, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. It has really healthy eye relief of about 3.5 inches at 7 power. And it's really easy to get behind the scope and have a really good picture at 7 power. Going into 35 power, it does tighten up quite a bit. You have to be really deliberate about where you're putting your eye behind it, but once you find that sweet spot, it is very clear to your view. Speaking of very clear, it does use Japanese XED glass, has really nice clarity, color transmission. I don't get a whole lot. The only aberrations or starbursting or anything like that, any sort of weird things in my view with this, and I'll talk about that later, is when I'm almost aiming directly into the sun. Like if the sun is coming in at any sort of a flat parallel to this, I do get a little bit of a haze in the view, but that is at a very specific point of the day. Nothing that I would really hold against this, because I think that's not uncommon with a lot of scopes. Otherwise, I get no aberrations, no floating anomalies or anything like that in the glass when using it under any other circumstance. So these turrets are not lockable turrets. They are zero resettable, meaning that there is no pull out, right? There is no pull out and push back in to lock it. They are freely moving, as you can hear. They're very tactile, very loud. You know exactly where you're at. This one having a zero stop, as you can see there. Now the windage, very much the same way. Again, not a zero stop, but zero resettable. And they both have quarter MOA clicks. So on the other side of here, which you'll see in overlays of pictures and video, a 25 to infinity parallax adjustment. It adjusts very nicely. I have it set right now on 100. And then it also has a 0 to 6 illumination setting with stops or off points between each setting, which I really think is an underrated way of doing illumination. I don't think enough people are doing that, to be able to have your favorite illumination setting and just have one click to the off either direction. Moving back from there, it has a very smooth diopter, works very well. Again, the sight through the scope is very nice, real clear, good color transmission on out to the end. It does have this sunshade that you can take on and off. Now at 7 power, your field of view is about 16.5 feet. They say in their literature 16.6 feet. I'm going to call it 16.5 feet. At 7 power, at 35 power, it is just over or just under 3.5 feet. Now they do claim that this is 50 BMG rated. I did do some abuse with it, which I will play for you here in a little bit, but they say this is 50 BMG rated, and it's about 42 ounces. It's about 42 ounces in weight without a mount. So it did not come with a mount. These are mounts that I purchased for doing this video. So I told you it's got 3.5 inch eye relief, but let's kind of put our face down on it here. I have a full field of view there, and a full field of view there, if I move my head just a little bit, it starts getting the scope shadow, you know, around the edge of it. But the reticle is perfectly clear. Otherwise, up to 35, full field of view there, and there's almost no in and out room, and very little side to side or up and down room before you start getting any sort of scope shadow. I did have, you might see it in this video at some point in time overlaying, I did have a kind of a hard time with the camera, trying to get the camera center behind it just right in order to get any sort of video or pictures of the reticle. Now, speaking of the reticle itself is, I'm going to just call it sort of a standard reticle, right? It's a crosshair style reticle with one horizontal line and then a line coming up the middle for vertical, with a small Christmas tree under it and all your windage and elevation hash marks. Fairly standard. This one is in MOA. It is also available in MRAD. So how does it function? How has it worked out for me? Well, let's get into how it held zero with the a minor amount of abuse and how the zero stop worked. All right, so I'm at 100 yards here, and we're going to throw 3 rounds of 308 down range. I'm going to beat up the optic a little bit with my hammer, and then we're going to check to see if it holds zero. So, shot 1. Where'd the target go? There it is. I am getting a little glare in the glass. It's 7:30 in the morning, so the sun's kind of going straight into the scope. All right, let's go check that out. I hope you can see this, because like I said, the sun is like right there. It's almost straight across the range here. There's 1, 2, 3, right on the edge of the black. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to hit the scope a few times and see how much shift there is. All right, so these are zeroed right now and locked. So I have my zero stop set here, and I have it zeroed, but there is no zero stop on the windage. So I have it zeroed where it was. All right, go away. Where's my target? There it is. Pretty good. That was bad. I felt that. That wasn't so bad. So I am still zeroed. So it did shift just a fuzz to the right. Might have been me, might have been the scope. Let's go look at it. I'll move the camera a little off to the side here a little bit more, see if it comes in better. So here's those first 3, here's the last 3. So dancing around that dot, from here to here, it's like 1/4 inch. From here to here is like 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch maybe. And from here to here is less than an inch. So again, that could have been me. That could have been banging the scope with a hammer, who knows? But either way, I would say that's pretty good grouping still. All right, so now we are going to test the zero stop. This is directly after the hammer test, so I am going to raise it up. I'm going to go up 30 or to the 3. I'll raise it up to the 2 because I don't know how much higher that's going to go than the head, because I'm right near the head. So this zero stop acts in a way that you don't lift up, you don't do any unlocking, so the turrets are free to move. So I'm going to go to 2 and use that same point of aim. And I'm going to go up 2 more. And now I'm going to go back down to 0, right to the stop. All right, let's go. Oh, nice. Let's go check that out. All right, so here was those first 3, then the abuse and those 3, and then my first shot with 20 clicks, 30 clicks, or sorry, 40. So this is my first, second, and then back down to 0 was this one. So it went about 3/4 of an inch low for that original group. For me, my use cases, that's, I mean, way smaller than a fist. I'm still going to hit my target, small target, no matter what. But it did jump back down just a little bit farther than the original group. But overall, I really think that the grouping that it kept, especially for my use case, is perfectly acceptable. Your judgment and what you would use it for is on you. All right, so the way that the 0 stop and 0 resetting works is you can see this screw right here. There's 3 set screws around the windage. And so you would find your 0, right, wherever you're shooting. You would find your 0, loosen those up. The cap then rotates freely and put it into place and tighten those set screws. On the top here for the elevation, you can see there's a hole here and a red screw there, and then there are 3 set screws around it. You have this loose, you have this loose, and you have all of these loose. Once you have your 0, you rotate this back to 0, tighten your other set screws, put your red set screw down, and then this is the set screw to hold that in place, and that is how you set your 0 stop for elevation. So with all of that said, I called this affordable earlier, and I really think that with the Japanese glass and some of the other features that you're getting with this, I think it is affordable for what you're getting. 7 to 35, resettable everything, 0 stop, good glass, seems to be of good construction and all that. These come in at right around $600, $660. I've seen it a few different prices on Amazon and other various websites. So it's right in that area, that $600 to $650-ish range, which I think is actually pretty good for a scope of this caliber with this sort of function. Now, to the YouTube censors, I'm not selling this rifle, I'm not selling the scope, I'm not selling anything, I'm not selling any regulated goods. I'm just giving the viewer all of the information they need to make the best decision possible. With all that said, what are the negatives? What would I change about this scope? Now, there are 2 things that, in my opinion, every scope should have. This may not be your opinion, that's why it's my video, not yours. Is I like locking turrets. The ability to, see what I just did there? Like, I didn't even grab it, right? The ability to do that on accident, not a huge fan of. It's not like I just lightly did that. I mean, I put significant pressure on it to do that, but the ability to accidentally rub this and move my settings without knowing it, I think is a negative. It's something I would change. I would make this like one of those pop up and lock back down type locking turrets. So that's 1. And 2, on 35, granted, and I know some people that are big into long range shooting are going to say this isn't all that uncommon, but on the high setting, I do wish it was a little bit more forgiving when it comes to the eye relief and exit pupil. You do have to get pretty darn deliberate back behind this scope in order to get a full sight picture through the scope. I do wish that was a little bit more forgiving. This isn't bad, it's perfectly usable. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that if I were humping through the hills using this as a hunting scope, which is basically what it is, and I was propped up against a tree or something like that, it would be a little bit more difficult for me to get behind it than, say, something that just had a little bit more forgiving exit pupil. But again, 34mm tube, resettable turret caps, 0 stop, 7 to 35, good clear picture, good construction, illumination settings, the whole 9 yards. I think that this is actually a pretty nice scope for the price. I do appreciate DNT sending this out to the channel. If you like this sort of content, don't forget to hit that like, share, subscribe button. Leave a comment down below. The interaction with the channel, comments, like buttons, thumbs up buttons, things like that. Sharing it across your social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, really help with the channel. And I cannot explain to you how much help I need right now as far as all that goes. So yeah, if you could interact a little bit down in the comment section, I will get to you as soon as I possibly can. I promise. I try to talk to everybody that I can. And yeah, I appreciate all of your support out there. Again, thank you to DNT for sending this out, and we'll talk to you guys later.